How do we communicate where something is? We often use small words called prepositions, like in or above, to describe the relation between two objects. We do not realize how complex the use of such prepositions is until we end up in an unusual situation. Suppose you are on a mission to deactivate a time bomb. The expert who instructed you has said, cut the thick blue wire above the clock. You have no problem cutting the correct wire here. But imagine that the bomb is attached with the alarm clock on its side. Cut the thick blue wire above the clock. Which wire would you cut now? You would probably be very confused. Why is that? In the first case, above the clock is the side that is up toward the sky. It is also the side where we find 12 on the clock itself. In most situations, the external and internal perspectives point to the same direction, being above. However, when the clock is rotated 90 degrees, these two perspectives do not lead to the same direction. If you use the environment to interpret above, then this wire is above the clock. But if you use the numbers of the clock, then this wire is above the clock. Yet, these two different perspectives are not your only problem. Whether or not the wire is in contact with the clock also complicates your interpretation of the preposition above. Above is typically used when there is no contact between the objects. Otherwise, on the clock would be more appropriate. But can you really be sure that above excludes contact? Would the expert have said, cut the wire on the clock, if he meant this wire instead of this one? As the seconds are ticking away, you realize how little you know about how spatial prepositions really work. At Utrecht University, we're trying to understand how spatial prepositions work. In an experiment, we showed subjects pictures of a car and a ball in different configurations and asked whether the ball is on the car or above the car. In this way, we could study the influence of contact and direction on the use of above. The experimental results show that above is most appropriate for the situation in which the external and internal perspective give the same direction. But subjects also do accept it for the rotated situation, using the internal perspective of the car. We also found that subjects accept above whether there is contact, like in this situation, or not, like in this situation. Nevertheless, when they can choose between on and above, they prefer on for contact. It seems that people are more liberal when they interpret above than when they actually produce it themselves. So what does this mean? Where is above? Contrary to what we might think, above does not have one fixed meaning. Its meaning is the result of different factors that do not always work in the same direction. One factor has to do with how we assign directions to objects. Another factor concerns how we choose our words when we want to make ourselves clear. It is only in unusual situations that this interaction of factors leads to confusion. When there are different sides that can be above, and when we're not sure whether the speaker used above to contrast with on or not. In such an unusual and ambiguous situation, you can only hope to make a lucky guess about the meaning of above that the expert of the bomb squad had in mind.